Welcome to PTV World's special transmission on Election Day. I'm your host, Maqbool, and today we will be talking about different factors and the importance of these elections, which of course are going to be held tomorrow. It is your national responsibility to cast your votes, and PTV World encourages all its viewers to do the same. In today's discussion, we will be talking about what are the narratives of different political parties and the expected voter turnout, and what important factors are there for the voters to consider for which they will be selecting the candidates of their choice. Along with that, we will also be talking about the impact that these elections will have on the national and political scenario of Pakistan and also in the international arena. I will introduce our guests in the show to start this discussion. First of all, we have with us Dr. Raffat, who's a senior analyst. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much.
Then we have Mr. Javeed Rana, who is also a journalist. Thank you for joining us today. We also have Zahid Ghishkori, who is also a journalist. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us today. Starting with you, Mr. Dr. Raffat, of course, these elections are being termed largely as highly unpredictable by most people. How do you see these elections being different from those in 2013?
Well, I think two things are very important. One was that there was a great element of uncertainty whether those elections would be held on time. Due to number of factors. Of course, the weather was one, the ongoing NAB cases, corruption cases against the ruling party PMLN was the other, and generally the impression was that there may not be sufficient time for the Election Commission to complete all the preparation that we need to in order to hold these elections.
Right.
But that prediction or that uncertainty is now gone. Elections are all set, all the preparations have been completed, and you just heard during the last hour the Secretary Election Commission has also spoken about the imperative that why these elections need to be held on time, and he also mentioned several preparations, the deployment of the security forces, the deployment of the army, both inside and outside the polling booth to ensure that there no untoward incident of violence happens. That's one. So on that count, I think we need to compliment ourselves that even though elections are, these are the third elections which will transit towards the democratic rule. So I think there is everybody who is involved in the preparation, particularly the Election Commission, needs to be complimented.
Right, but in terms of results, it's
but the second element is that this is no longer a context, a bipolar contest. We have multiple candidates. In fact, the largest number of candidates are fighting these elections independently. And then you have the PMLN and the PTI and the Pakistan People's Party, along with the allied parties MQM and ANP fighting these elections. So I think there is a multiplicity of these candidates would ensure that no single party will be able to capture the vote. And this time around, I think the predictions are that that no single party will emerge as a single block, and therefore there will be some who are predicting that it's not going to be necessarily hung party mode, but is going to be a coalition government, which I think is the trend in the region. Because if you look at the Indian elections, which claims itself to be the largest democracy, then you find that even though BJP is at the center, but they also have have coalition in the provincial assemblies or their state assemblies. So I think this is a trend which will mark the end of the duopoly of the political scene, which was essentially a PMLN versus PP contest.
Right, we'll talk more about this, but before that, we will take a look at our correspondent Ali Andaz's report.
After many speculations, the general elections 2018 are here. The political atmosphere is already charged. PMLN and PTI are considered main contenders, but PPP cannot be ruled out after its very effective election campaign. Then there are several new religious political parties out there for making a mark. Two alliances, Grand Democratic Alliance and Muttahida Majlis Amal, have emerged in these elections. During the election campaign, major political parties repeatedly urged their supporters to come out and cast their vote. Realizing the close contest tomorrow, the number of political parties enlisted with the Election Commission of Pakistan is 120, along with the registration of two alliances. According to the electoral rolls, 105.955 million voters will be able to cast their vote tomorrow. Of these, 59.22 million are male and 46.73 million are females, a rise of approximately 23% in registered voters compared with 2013 elections. Punjab tops the list with the largest number of voters, with a total of 60.67 million voters. A total of 22.39 million voters are registered in Sindh. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the third largest province of the country, is home to 15.32 million registered voters, and Balochistan has a total of 4.3 million registered voters. In the federally administered tribal areas, 2.51 million voters would be able to exercise their right of voting, while 0.77 million are registered with the Election Commission of Pakistan from Capital Territory. In 2013, the voter turnout was 55%, not a towering figure at all. Another major factor which distinguishes 2018 elections from 2013 is the new constituencies as a result of delimitation exercise carried out by the Election Commission. According to the new delimitations, ECP has maintained 272 general seats in the National Assembly, with Sindh's general seats remaining unchanged at 61 and FATA's at 12. However, the Election Commission has reduced the number of general seats in Punjab by 7 to 141 and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's by 4. Balochistan's general seats were also reduced by 2, while Islamabad saw an increase of a seat. Sindh will now have 61 seats, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa will have 39, Balochistan 16, FATA 12 and Islamabad 3. Numbers allocated to constituencies have also changed after the issuance of the limitation list. The sequence will now move in a clockwise fashion. Peshawar is no longer NA1 and the number has been allocated to Chitral.
Continuing our discussion before, we were talking about the fact that the most likely result of this election will be a coalition government. Now, Mr. Rana, what do you think a coalition government, the impact and that it has on the political scenario of the country, and also particularly in terms of the impact on its economy, because it has been said that a weak coalition government will not be good for the country's economy?
Weak coalition government would be part of the problem.
Right.
It will trigger political instability. We had, unfortunately, that in the past, in Zardari's government, you might recall, they used to vote MQM, Altaf Hussain factor, you see. And essentially it was a terrorist group based in Karachi. The entire city, the mega city was hijacked. And part of the reason was that we had a coalition government of which MQM was a part. And then we had a relatively far more stable government. The then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif had a clear majority, or at least he had comfortable coalition partner. The net result was that an operation was launched against MQM. And now Karachi is a far more peaceful city. And we are now finding some political activity. The federal parties, People's Party, PTI, PMLN, they're contesting elections without any fear. So I hope that the election result produce a single largest party with a smaller political group. If there is a bigger political group, maybe if they have to take this 30 seats political party, that would be disaster. My own understanding of the situation is that probably PTI would emerge as a single largest political force. It may merge with the 90 seats, maybe 90 to 110. It can fluctuate. It can fluctuate, and then they will independent candidates would join PTI. Possible. These are just as a matter of subjective speculation. Then we have a new emergence of BAP, Balochistan Awami Party. I think whosoever comes into power at the federal level, this group is going to join them. That is a most likely scenario. Independence role would be again very important, and I think they would actually become part of the party which is going to be at the governing seat. So there may not be many coalition partners. And I think the powers that be in Pakistan, they have been against the very idea of coalition. We have been talking about hung parliament.
Sure.
I don't think those who actually control the affairs of Pakistan, they would be in favor of that. As a young reporter back in 1997, I remember I came up with a very exclusive story that Dwashi was going to be given two-third majority back then. And then the editor said, we have another analysis, and the analysis says there's going to be hung parliament. I said, my information is strong. And that is basically, I'm telling you, that is a thinking pattern within the policymaker, that the political instability is a bigger part of the problem.
Right.
And so they would not like to have a political instability in Pakistan. There may be coalition formation, but that would be a comfortable coalition, not in a manner that we had during People's Party's government.
Right, and you mentioned Karachi. We have our correspondent from Karachi who will be updating us regarding the preparations for elections that are being held in the city.
Right now, I'm in the largest metropolis of Pakistan, that is Karachi, with 21 NA seats to offer and 41 provincial seats. It has more than 6 million registered voters, and right now I'm in the 6th district, or one of the 6 districts of Karachi, that is Karachi East. Karachi East has 4 seats, National Assembly seats to offer, whereas 8 provincial seats. Interesting thing is that from Karachi East, very famous and very known political candidates are running. That includes Imran Khan and Farooq Sattar, then Sheila Raza, and other many contestants that have been in the media for a very long time and also held public offices at some or the other point. In case you're wondering that you do not see the expected fervor on the streets, then that it is true. We have been told that all the posters and banners of different political parties have been removed after the midnight, as we know that electioneering campaigns had to come to an end on the night of 23rd and 24th, between midnight. So right now the city is enjoying a brief lull before it goes to vote tomorrow in the morning. That will be 25th of July, a much awaited day for millions of people. And Karachi is very unique in many ways. One, that all the main contestants that who aspire to be the Prime Minister or future Prime Minister of Pakistan are contesting from this city, including Bilawal Bhutto, then Imran Khan and Shehbaz Sharif. PMLN is not a very popular or that popular party in Karachi, but this time there is a lot going to change, seems like. Right now.
Thank you, Kethiara Anis, for updating us regarding the preparations that are being made in Karachi. Talking further about Karachi, of course, the political scenario in Karachi is also very different. It is for the first time in 3 decades that the MQM Pakistan is facing a very tough time in the city. Of course, that's because of the internal rift in the party's leadership and the emergence of PSP, and of course, most importantly, its leader Altaf Hussain calling for a boycott. And that, of course, affects a large number of its vote bank. How do you see the situation for polling in Karachi and the main parties which are contesting, because now it's largely different?
Thank you, Sana. Karachi is very new for the first time, and of course Karachi is a rightly peaceful city now. And most important thing I want to share with you here that 14 members National Assembly, previously elected member National Assembly of MKM under the leadership of Altaf Hussain, now left the party. 4 have joined PSP, and they are going to contest election on PSP tickets, and a rest of previously elected MNAs are no longer in the contest. The
Right.
shape of political party, which enjoyed 18 members National Assembly last time, now entirely has been changed now. So that's why Karachi otherwise seem to be a changed city, as Kethiara was telling us about the contest of 3 very important leaders, and we cannot wave off Mustafa Kamal and PSP presence in Karachi, and PPP also pouring into the city now. Now maybe 2 to 3 member National Assembly, first time from Karachi. Jamaat-e-Islami could also see maybe a seat, and then Awami National Party is also in the contest. So Karachi is a different city, even the Hyderabad as well. So Sindh is now facing a challenge in shape of Pakistan People's Party. You know that as Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf tried to mobilize the people, but there was a political vacuum, by the way. The political engineering also started from Karachi, unfortunately. In the previous 2.5 years, party was divided and scattered, new party emerged, and almost 50 to 70% MKM leaders joined PSP, some also joined PTI, and 2 also joined PPP as well. So Sindh entirely is now facing a challenge. Challenge is being set for Pakistan People's Party. Actually, many people, as Javeed rightly said in our last program, that before 6 p.m. here at this forum, that Grand Alliance, Democratic Alliance, and Functional League, and yes, somehow Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf is also hoping that 5 to 6 member National Assembly from Sindh and maybe a dozen members Provincial Assembly from here. I don't see that, by the way, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz would fetch out seats from National Assembly from Sindh. It's very difficult. Yes, MKM slightly cut down. PSP is the new political party. So entirely Sindh may see the new shape. But yes, there is a possibility that Pakistan People's Party, of course, would form the government over there. But challenge would be a big challenge for the political party right now. And also, Bilawal Bhutto mobilize its workers in Sindh. Of course, there has been many problems, huge challenges of bad governance, and for Karachi as well, corruption cases. And do you know that 14 members National Assembly previously elected on platform of Pakistan People's Party have now left PPP, at least 2 have joined PTI, and 2 have joined Grand Democratic Alliance like Dr. Fahmida Mirza. And other thing is 8 member National Assembly previously elected are no longer contested election on PPP ticket.
Right.
So there is a challenge for PPP, but yet I think, and I even can predict, that Pakistan People's Party would form the government in Sindh.
Right, and it's not just Sindh, of course, who's facing a different political scenario. We see we see a fierce battle in Lahore and in Punjab also,
Yeah,
which of course is a very important province, because whoever gets the majority there will form the government at the centre. And it has been the PMLN stronghold for ages, but now you see a fierce battle between PMLN and PTI, perhaps not PPP, as it only won 2 seats in the previous elections as well. But of course, the scenario in Punjab is also very different. How do you see the different political parties and their positions in Punjab now? Because of course, since the aftermath of the disqualification, the sentencing of the former premier, it has changed dramatically.
Well, first of all, I agree with the basic argument that whosoever carries Punjab
Right.
will be a very strong contender for forming government at the center, because you would need, because of the size of Punjab, 56% of Pakistan population, and because of its weight, demographic weight, whosoever carries Punjab will stake out a claim to forming a government at the center. However, in case of southern Punjab, we saw a rebellion, a very large number of MPs, MNAs, who were previously part of the PMLN, they defected, and now they are either contesting election independently or they have the support of the PTI.
Right.
So that is something. And then along with that, you have the entry of what I call the religious right that's also entering into the foray. And I was looking at the polls, the pre-election polls, and most of them had given 70. The Herald poll had given 49 seats to the independent candidates, and some of and one earlier poll, which was done only about a month and a half ago, had given 71 seats to these independent actors. So the Tehreek-e-Labak, which has, they may be able to surprise everybody. They may be able to win constituencies on their own, especially when they are pitted against candidates whose reputation is tainted by corruption. So that's a new variable. But by and large, I would say that, and when it comes to South and Central Punjab, which is the main contest area, I would say that that Punjab is going to in these elections people are going to return the PMLN because PML's narrative is very strong, because they are now saying that they are trying to play on the victim mode, that they are alleging that their party has been eclipsed, they have been forced to leave power because of the corruption charges, and a lot of people who are determined voters are buying into this into this narrative. So because of these reasons, I think the PML retains its strong political and social base of support in South and Central Punjab. But again, we are looking at constituency to constituency. For example, PML in PTI is supposed to carry the urban centers of Punjab, but the rural and the town related areas of constituencies, they are most likely to favor PMLN. But I totally agree with you that in case of Punjab, it's either going to be PTI or PMLN or some combination of the independent voters.
Right. Regarding these shifts that we see in various areas across the country, Mr. Rana, what do you think is the fact that voter loyalties or party loyalties, do you think that these aspects are very important to voters still today, and that a large number of voter base for any political party is representing a loyalty?
I think we can categorize voters. Voters in the urban center, they are far more mature, and they probably would decide on the basis of the party's manifesto. And the voter in the urban center is quite politically mature. They know who's calling shots behind the scene, and what is happening with the PMLN, what is happening with the PTI. They're very clear-headed. I think when it comes to the rural area, then the politics of casteism, tribalism, and the local leaders who are popular in their communities,
right,
they matter. PMLN has lost a pragmatic politics. It has been winning elections because of two factors. First has been the support from the establishment, from the judiciary, which it has lost. It is obviously no longer a blue-eyed boy of the establishment.
Sure.
And rather PMLN says it has turned against it.
It is anti-establishment.
So and I think part of the reason that PMLN itself generated that perception that the establishment has turned against us, because of this sole reason, and because of his disqualification and subsequently his conviction on money laundering charges, all those electables, who mattered in their constituencies, most of them, from People's Party and from PMLN, particularly from Punjab, and more particularly from the southern Punjab, they have defected to the PTI in the hard pragmatic politics. So PTI has got more winning chance.
Right.
These electables know that in anticipation of PTI's victory, they have joined them. Now, this perception that as if all these potential candidates have been pressured to join PTI, I think that's entirely wrong. There are isolated incidents. We cannot give a sweeping judgment. There are hard political interests of these electables, and they have to sustain and retain those interests. and that is the precise reason they long before they joined the PTI. These are hard, there is hard politics in Pakistan. What Mia Nawaz Sharif has been trying to do, he is playing an idealistic card that there should not be any interference of any state institution. Ideally speaking, yes, but he himself is a byproduct of the same institutions. Not long ago, just back in 2013, he had all kind of support. At that particular point of time, PTI didn't know what was going to happen with it. And on the polling day, there was hard election rigging because of the election results were changed. My information is that even PTI had won 110 seats of National Assembly, which were changed. And even if you go by the report of Supreme Court Judicial Commission, it did not say the rigging did not take place. What it said was the rigging did not take place to a scale whereby the overall representation in the parliament could have been affected. So, but my understanding of the situation is it was a massive rigging on polling day. Let's hope that doesn't happen tomorrow. I hope that is not going to happen because of technological advancement. No longer powers that be and the political mafias that we have, the political parties have, smaller groups we have, they are no longer can now change the result to a point where the overall representation can be changed. So again, in a broader picture, the hard political realities have gone against the PMLN, and they are exaggerating. There is meddling from the establishment, no doubt about it, but the scale of which, that as if everything they are doing it, I think that's not true.
But Sanjay, one quick point that I wanted to add to Javeed Saab's analysis. There is that Punjab has been ruled by PMLN for the last 10 or 13 years. It has almost 2 decades. But as a result of that, there's an anti-incumbency factor also that's also coming into play, because people are not convinced that their water, their health, their social benefit schemes that were launched, that there have been very little by way of a trickle-down effect to the and people are accusing the PMLN that they have launched these mega projects which were of no consequence or had little benefit for the people themselves. So against that, the PTI has put its own narrative that their priorities are going to be people-centric. They have launched a program, and it still remains to be seen whether they would be able to implement all that they are promising to the people.
Of course, sure.
But of course, they are promising that there's going to be a corruption-free society, there's going to be a welfare state of Pakistan, and that is something that the people of Punjab and generally the people at large in Pakistan have been hoping for and have been clamoring for. And unfortunately, if you look at PMLN's performance over the last decade or so, they have not delivered in terms of basic needs of the people.
Mr. Zahid, do you agree with the fact that the PMLN may not have delivered enough in Punjab and in the rest of the country, and that the fact that they are being very anti-establishment and they've raised slogans very recently also as part of their campaigns? Do you think that that has lost a majority of their voter base? Because they seem very confident of getting more than 100 seats still in Punjab.
Sana, I don't see that. Just to continue debate and keeping focus on Punjab, do you know this? Right now, 59 previously elected MNAs have changed their loyalties or changed political parties, or either they are going to contest election independently, or even they are not going to contest this time for National Assembly. 59. 54 out of 59 belong to PMLN. This is very interesting. 54, and PMLN enjoyed last time 108 seats from Punjab.
Right.
So these 54, from these 54, 19 joined PTI. Now they are contesting election on PTI ticket from Punjab. 19, and 16 are running independently. And interesting is that rest of the previously elected MNAs are not going to contest for National Assembly this time, because either 4 of them have been disqualified by the courts, and one belonged to PTI. Of course, Jahangir Tareen was disqualified, and other rest of MNAs basically have loyalties with PMLN, but their daughters, wives, or the sons are going to contest on these elections. Independent would be the kingmaker from Punjab this time, because 65 are contesting independently and 31s are almost electable. This is very interesting. These 31 independent are almost electable. And PTI enjoyed majority in South Punjab. As I told you in previous program, that 54 MNAs from South Punjab, there is a strong possibility that PTI
54, 44.
54 almost from 16 districts which are declared South Punjab usually, including like Dera Ghazi Khan division, Multan division, Bahawalpur division, and one or two more districts, including Bhakar. But the important thing, still I can see that the PMLN see majority. Look at this, that the 124 MNAs for PMLN last time and 31 for PTI, 400 times bigger than that. So only 19 joined them, and of course maybe 15 more MNAs for them. I still can see that PMLN still enjoys a good support in Punjab, and my prediction as a reporter is that PMLN would be a single majority party from Punjab. And then, interestingly, we are missing one more important province here, which is Balochistan. Balochistan have 15 MNAs previously. 11 MNAs have left their parties.
Right.
4 belong to PMLN. They have joined Balochistan Awami National Party, the newly formed party. And 7 are not going to contest election, interestingly, from Balochistan. So we can see that the role of independent is very vital. The smaller political parties like Balochistan Awami Party, like PSP, we can't also wave off MMA. MMA, I don't see that it still enjoys support like 2008, but yes, there are political parties which can win seats like JUF, Jamaat-e-Islami, and the momentum we are missing is 356 candidates are being fielded by 4 religious political parties. We are ignoring them, but this is very important point. In my view, Pakistan democracy project seriously contaminated as the state let them to contest election. Otherwise, they have yet to disassociate themselves from violence.
Okay,
which is
Ms.
very
Zad,
interesting.
we have to go to our correspondent in Lahore and we'll continue with this discussion. Shabir, can you give us the details regarding the preparations in Lahore for the big day tomorrow?
Yes, almost all the preparations have been finalized. The polling stations have been taken over by the security agencies, army people and law enforcement agency people. They have taken over the control of polling stations, and all the polling material almost being distributed to all the relevant polling stations. And as much as other preparations are concerned, there are a little bit fear regarding weather is, which we heard about that tomorrow it is prediction that there will be a thunderstorm or rain in Lahore, so that can hamper as much as turnout is concerned. Otherwise, approximately 5.4 million people, they are due to choose 14 National Assembly and 30 Provincial Assembly representatives tomorrow in Lahore, which is now once considered as the hub of PMLN, but now it is considered as one of the very like contested districts in the whole Pakistan, because no party is now feeling like that they will have a easy or a smooth sailing, because there are very tough contests which we are seeing, as much as different surveys and the mood in Lahore, the voters' mood is concerned. PTI and PML and both are ready to give each other very tough competition on each and every single seat.
Right. Thank you for joining us. Tribune Ahmed Bagar giving us the details regarding preparations in Lahore. We'll talk further about different narratives and manifestos of the political parties, of course. And from a voter's point of view, we see that, of course, PTI seems to be standing for change. PPP is emphasizing on fighting extremism, and the PMLN continues to talk about tackling the energy crisis. And almost all of the parties are talking against corruption and providing basic human rights and the development of infrastructure, etc., in the country. But of course, in terms of the decision that a voter has to make and to elect a particular candidate, what factors do you think are important to consider, especially the fact that a lot of people debate on whether to consider for the particular candidate that they are opting for or for the political party?
Well, I think one can divide the calculus of the voters in terms of urban and the rural areas. In case of rural areas, I think the Biradari system, the caste system, and collective voting is going to be a very important factor. Though there is a now hope that the new social forces or the younger lot may not necessarily agree with the way their Biradaris or their herds have gone to the polls. But in terms of the urban voters, the issues are very clear. The issues are human security or human development issues, which is really related to their jobs, in terms of their water needs, in terms of the health facilities, and road and mobility and the jobs. That's going to be a very huge concern in terms of the voters' motivation to go, and so they are going to, as the saying goes, that in case of American election, people say that all politics is local. I would not say that all politics has become local, because what happens at the level of the constituency is going to be very, very important, because people, whether somebody who is known to be a corrupt person but has not been convicted yet, people will know about this guy, so they would not be pinning their hopes that if we give this person a second or a third chance, so they would necessarily be delivering on their promises. But PTI has a very interesting advantage, which I call the fascination of the untried, because the people are looking towards them, but they are not sure whether the candidates they know, especially Shafkat Mahmood Saab, who's fighting election from Lahore, people know about him, but they are not sure what will be the mandate under which they are going to, what is going to be the party platform program under which they are, under which they will be governed. So there are a lot of hopes that are being pinned on PTI's rhetoric or the platform that they would like to bring about a qualitative change in the lives of the people. But sometimes these rational calculation of the voters get overridden by communal consolidation, by Biradari, and that dynamic is still in play. So PTI, the Pakistan Muslim League, and the voters will be thinking that if we are going to vote for this party, will they be able to wash off their corruption? So that is something that's going to weigh very heavily on the minds of even the PMLN voters.
Mr. Rana, do you think that this mindset of being better than the rest, or being or not having tried somebody before, is a good way to think about when voting for a particular candidate or party?
That the rational approach is that it should not be the case. But again, we have to look at the public mindset. I think PTI is more than that because it has been tried in KPK.
Right.
And what is dominating in KPK, I think the police reforms, generally there is a consensus that they have shown their performance. On health sector, they have tried to improve the delivery system, but they have not expanded the network of the hospital. There are also good reports that they have done good work on education sector. There was an element of merit in the recruitment of the teachers. These are small things, but they do matter. Yeah. And the PTI says that they are focusing on human development. When you talk of human development, generally it is not much visible. When you talk of infrastructure development that we see in Punjab, it is very much visible. And I think I would go even to the extent that a little part of the human development is also an invisible infrastructure in the development, and that is the sewage system. That is a provision of a clean drinking water. That has not happened in Punjab. The policy of the PMLN has been all that glitters matters. You have something to show to the public. We have these bridges, we have these roads, and then look at the cost that the entire nation is going to pay this so-called infrastructure. The entire debt of Pakistan, external debt, is close to $100 billion. By 2007, it was $40 billion. People's Party's government added $20 billion. And the previous government of PMLN added $40 billion. We have to pay every year $8 billion for the service of our previous debt. We are getting loan from the commercial banks, from the Chinese bank, on high rates to pay previous one. And probably this interim government is basically preparing grounds for the new government to go back to the IMF. That means the same old conditionalities, withdraw subsidies, more taxations. The new government, whichsoever may be, they would not be able to have its own economic policy.
Right.
So I think the disaster that the PMLN government has left behind is this external debt that we are ignoring. And then a part of the reason is that we have seen the development. It's also because of Chinese huge assistance, which is, not, I mean, that loan we are getting from the China. And apart from this development money that is coming in shape of investment, much of it is against interest, which we will have to pay. So what we are seeing on the ground, infrastructure development, common people may not be able to make distinction. Okay. That I think PMLN would be able to retain its traditional vote bank, but the religious vote bank, I don't think that would go to the PMLN because of this Khatme-Nabuwat
Absolutely.
Controversy.
Absolutely. Mr. Zahid, quickly, if you could also talk about the importance of federal or regional inequality in terms of the decision making for a voter, in terms of the provinces, the resources distribution being distributed equally among the provinces according to their needs and requirements. How do you think this impacts the decision of the voters in the different provinces also?
Yes, there are division. We witness, you know, that of course there have been controversies and criticism the previous ruling party has been facing as it did not happen in South Punjab. At least 12 districts, such districts which have been completely ignored. Otherwise, some people say it's a culpable negligence by the Punjab, as Professor Saab rightly said that it has been almost 2 decades now. The previous ruling party has been ruling the biggest province, but it rightly kept focus on Central Punjab, ignored South Punjab. And other thing is interior Sindh as well, which is even more worse as compared to South Punjab. That's why the bad governance is rightly the example for Pakistan People's Party. Many thousands, hundreds of thousands of voters want to get rid of Pakistan People's Party traditional rule from the Sindh, as Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Vice Chairman Shah Mahmud Qureshi in a presser rightly said that people are ready to accept any other party, PTI in particular, but we are not ready to tackle or say them, give them a welcome, give them an opportunity, at least give them a right to leadership which could represent the people of Pakistan, people of Sindh as compared to Pakistan People's Party. And then in KPK, Javed was rightly saying that PTI tried its best to deliver in terms of education system, bringing reforms and revamping police system as well, health system is somehow as well. It was a good experience for the party. And one important thing I want to add here that if you remember, if you can recall here that last time PTI fielded 40% strange new faces for the National Assembly to contest for the National Assembly, but they got vote. They grabbed vote between 40,000 to 60,000 from every constituency, but
Right.
they could not make their way to the upper house of the parliament because they were new faces. PTI way was sweeping, people like it, but people vote also even them. But unfortunately in Pakistan, electable keep dominating. If you are an aspirant, if you don't have 20 to 25,000 votes in your pocket, you cannot make their way to the upper house.
Right.
This is very difficulty PTI faced. But this time PTI rightly understood the issue. They knew the trick this time, fielded electables. They gone and adopted every trick to at least
last point,
the capacity.
it has
Quickly,
also
please,
led to
yes.
cause the popular vote. I think Imran Khan or PTI as a party was far more popular back in 2013 as now.
Yes.
Now it is the pragmatic politics driven by these electables.
Right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us today and for sharing your views. Of course, tomorrow is the big day in Pakistan, and it is very important for all of you to vote and to, of course, consider all sorts of implications and narratives before making your decision. Make an informed decision, whatever decision that you do make. So please do go out and vote so that Pakistan's democratic process continues and stays on the right path. Thank you very much for joining us. Our special transmission will continue all day today and tomorrow.